to the, what's this, 7th? Hold up. No, that's not right. 5, 6, 7. That's right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 7th. It's the 8th. Fucking hell. All right, let's try this again. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 8th episode. Today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. In the previous 7 episodes, I discussed every single characteristic individually, but this one, I'm going to be discussing 3, maybe 4. We'll see how we go, just because I feel like they all really sit well with each other and they just really combine well together. And I just thought, why not just spice it up a little bit and do something a little bit different instead of just being in my structured routine, which is something that I know I need to get out of. That's literally one of the things that I'm working on this year. I've noticed when I set myself up for a goal, I always have rigid and structure revolving around that goal, which does serve its purpose, yes, but that also puts a negative feeling behind it. So for me, basically what I'm trying to say is I felt so rigid and structured regarding these episodes because in my head I was, I've got to do 20 episodes of this book. And at first when I started this podcast, I was like, it sounds great. I have something to talk about for 20 episodes. So at least there's going to be 20 episodes. Whereas now I know there's going to be more than 20. But for me, I'm just like, I cannot do that. I'm not demonizing having structure and all of that. Definitely not. But for me, I don't know. I'm just going with it. So this is me going with the flow. I'm trying to encourage everyone to step outside of their boundaries. Step outside of your structured routines. And look, having a structure is great. I am a structured girl. I love having a routine, or well, I really need a routine to function as what everyone else would, I assume. Stepping outside of those boundaries when you feel like you are stuck and you have to do something because you told yourself you have to do it, although you don't really want to do it because you feel like restricted, that is your sign. You need to get out of that because it's not working anymore. You have a negative input regarding it, which is what I started having with these episodes. Anyway, rant over. I'm going to go on with this episode. So this is going to be the way of harmlessness and gentleness, the way of equality, and the way of trust. Now, for those that follow me on social media will know my most recent post was all about the way of trust, which I have only recently, I would say more so 2024, I've actually understand or fully experienced what it means of the way of trust, and that's going to come on. I'll explain that a little bit later on in the episode. Yeah, so those 3 things is what I'm going to be focusing on. So with that being said, welcome to the Pursuit of Purpose podcast, and thank you so much for listening to this episode, liking, subscribing, sharing, all of the above. I really appreciate all of the love that I'm getting from everyone engaging in my content, and it just really warms my heart knowing that people actually give a damn shit what I have to say. Now, you may ask me, Carla, I'm on this self-healing journey. I'm doing as best as I can to improve myself mentally, physically, spiritually, all of the above. And I just find myself still going back into the same habits. I'm still finding myself doing the things that I don't want to do, reacting to the things, allowing things to influence me, yet I know that I deserve more or I am better or just something as simple as don't want to experience. This is why. The way of harmlessness and gentleness, the way of equality, and the way of truth helps you understand and uncover the reasons behind it. And you may not actually know on a conscious level, but you could well and truly be subconsciously sabotaging yourself because of a million things. 1, you may actually think that you don't deserve that promotion or that relationship. But going through these 3 ways is going to help you. What harmlessness and gentleness talks about is about the things that you subconsciously interact into or consume that are harming you or harming others, right? And this is something as simple as using a product where those chemicals actually negatively react to your body, like endocrine disruptors, like sulfates, like parabens. All of those sort of things and many, many more have a negative impact on us, especially us as women. Fun fact, the average woman consumes at least 140 toxic chemicals every single day that is labeled as safe by Big Pharma or by whatever major corporation is trying to sell you that pharmaceutical or something as simple as your everyday makeup routine or the exfoliator that you're using on your body. All of those sort of things actually contain these chemicals within themselves. And this is not going to be a science episode. Go into and actually search what those sort of chemicals do to your body, and you're going to be shocked. And no, this is not, this is so fake. Why would they sell us these sort of chemicals if they know it's wrong? No, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with you. I'm just telling you, look into this sort of stuff. Going back to what I was saying before, that is you participating in a way of how you're harming yourself. You may not be consciously telling yourself, oh, I hate myself, so I'm going to use endocrine disruptors to fuck up my hormones because I don't think I deserve children, so it's going to influence the way how I can conceive children. You're not obviously going to do that on a conscious level, but that is what's happening. We have seen healthy birth rates drop drastically. Take the 60s or 70s for this example. And this is me not fat shaming anyone or anything like that. I'm literally just using this as a fact. There was no one with obesity in those ages, or a very, very, like 0.000% of the population were obese. Now, if you look into it, what has changed? We are supposedly have gotten more advanced, yet why are all these health problems going up? So we have to look at the obvious. What has changed? Well, we don't walk everywhere anymore. We get Ubers, or we now get on electric scooters. We fucking go everywhere without actually using our muscles to move our body. And also the products and the type of food that you consume. That has changed drastically because now we process things to make them last longer so that they can service more people over a longer extended period of time, because obviously now they say food shortage and all that sort of stuff, right? So now we're processing everything, packaging everything, and putting all of these preservatives into our food so that they can last longer. Come on, let's wake up and let's just realize what is happening to us and how we can stop these sort of things. It's literally right in front of us. So the way of harmless and gentleness, it is literally the things that you participate in, even though you don't actually realize it is a conscious choice, you are still choosing to use a product that is harming the earth, let alone yourself. We need to become more conscious of the things that we do and more conscious of the things that we consume. I know it's very, very tough financially for a lot of people. Going to your local butcher, supporting a local business that is grass-fed, organic, pasture-raised, all of the good stuff. Not factory-farmed animals that are force-fed all of the shitty food products. But I understand doing that is very, very costly. For myself, I at least spend between $70 to $100 every single week on just meat products. I get that a lot of people cannot do that. I really do understand that. But again, I've spoke about this before. If you want to do something, you need to have your priorities based on that thing. If you say you can't do something, it just means that it's not a priority, and that's okay. But choosing to be a victim and saying that you can't do something, although you want to do that thing, come on. We're still choosing. Not choosing is still a choice, right? So not buying the organic things, choosing to purchase the very highly toxic house cleaning products, you're choosing regardless. Choosing to not educate yourself is also a choice. So we all participate in harming ourselves and the world one way or another. Whether we consciously know it or not, we do. I still do this, although I'm a lot more self-aware of the things that I have done and am still doing, or becoming more aware of how I can improve. That's all we can do. We just need to become aware of it. And I know some of you watching this may actually think that I'm batshit crazy for thinking these sort of things is actually contributing towards diseases, health concerns, and all of that sort of stuff. But please don't just label it. Don't just let your ego, right, tell you and protect you from changing the way how you were brainwashed to believe and think. Actually, let that little thing in your head internalize the information and think for yourself. I've heard a lot of people tell me this, yet I choose to not believe them. Why? No, because I just don't think that that's right, or I don't actually think that the world that we live in is capable of harming the people who are participating in life. But then if you use that example for everything else, that doesn't stand, because there's so many things that has happened from people being in charge, wrongly being in charge, and their actions having a negative reaction on us. So for that even being a thing, and where those sort of things has happened, come on, we're not three anymore. Rationalize and realize the things that you can do to improve your life. And this is not even just going into the rabbit hole of obviously all of these chemicals and whatnot being consumed into our body, what that does in a long-term effect. For example, I don't want to say it, but cancer, one of the most leading death causes in the world, is literally from the toxins that your body cannot get rid of. And a lot of people say, oh, well, your body's like a filter. But why would you want it to filter that? Use this for example, a water filter. How many times do you need to buy a brand new water filter? Right? This is real stupid example. I know you can replace a water filter, but you cannot replace your body. You are the thing. Where do you think all the toxins go? It literally gets stored. And don't let me start on the emotional side of things. If you feel a negative feeling and you choose to not feel it or process it or deal with it, and you just literally put it in file 13 in the back closet, it's still there. You're just choosing to not deal with it. So that's how emotions get bottled up. We all know this is just basic shit. But what happens with that negative emotion? What happens with all the negative emotions that you haven't processed? Energy never dies. It can only move from one thing to another. So if you went through a very traumatic thing and you choose to not deal with it and feel it and evolve with it, that, I'm sorry to say it, but that could probably well and truly contribute towards your diabetes, or towards you getting cancer, or towards some other serious illness. Let's stop playing ignorance and actually see what's happening to the world, because I have so much hope for us as a human race to evolve. But we just need to realize all the things that we're doing that actually contribute towards our own suffering. And then the gentleness of this side, right? If you are a person that grew up with a very unemotional mother, for example, right? Your mum didn't know how to process her emotions, so she became completely emotionless, which most of us experience at least one occasion throughout their childhood. And you grew up with a mum that didn't know how to process or regulate or even just show affection or emotion. You grew up not knowing how to do that as well. So then when your boyfriend comes to you or your girlfriend comes to you with big emotions, you're literally going to repel that, and you're going to react based on how your mother used to react or how you used to react to your mum being like that. And it's just a vicious cycle going over and over and over again. There's no gentleness. Knowing that a person is not going to be 100% all of the time, and allowing them to be the way how they need to be to feel heard and seen. I literally spoke about this in my previous episode, so I'm not going to go too much into the gentleness, but literally being so gentle and caring and let any person react the way how they feel that they need to react. Even hypothetically, it's not appropriate for the situation. For example, I don't know, a man-child react based on something that happened, like missing a red light and going off at the red light, and then you reacting to that and then telling them, oh, you always overreact. And then obviously they're in a reactive response, so they're going to up you one with their reaction, and it's just going back and forth. Where gentleness, you see the truth in that situation. That person just doesn't know how to react. So I'm just going to let them be. And instead of overreacting, you just point blankly say, why is it that you find a red light affects you so much? Ask the questions, but in a gentle way. Do not poke the bear. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about gentleness. Learn how to be gentle with people in the moments that need gentleness, or in the moments where gentleness is only going to get you to a better outcome. Now, moving on to the way of equality. Equality means that you see every single thing that has a living organism within itself all as the same thing. No one's less and no one's more. We all know this, right? It's stupid to say that we all need to view everyone as your next door neighbor. You need to love everyone. And I get it. It's stupid to say that. But why are we not doing it? Why do we have to be bitchy? Why do we have to up one another person when you feel like they've wronged you? Or when you literally choose to be a victim? I come from South Africa. I grew up in a very dark-skinned community, and everyone in South Africa, majority of the time, is, well, we all know it. Racism is massive. For me, I'm technically also African because I'm literally so tanned. Besides the point, what I'm trying to get at is I'm not trying to be racist when I'm saying this, okay? So anyone who watches this that gets triggered by it, I apologize in advance, because I'm literally just talking from my heart, and I view everyone as equality. I never used to, don't get me wrong. I used to be so racist because that's what I grew up in. But I also became consciously aware of how wrong that is, and I've changed the way how I view the world. I had a best friend that were dark skinned, and my parents at first were like, why are you friends with her? But then they realized that's just the programming talking. They were programmed into that because obviously they're South African as well. They were programmed into that belief because of how we were raised. So it's literally all just a programming belief. Anyway, going back to what I was saying before, viewing the world with equality. So just because you are a person of a darker or whiter skin tone, doesn't matter what, and you choose to feel a negative way based on the way how the world treats you, you're choosing to be of inequality. You're participating in the inequality, right? Just think about that. For example, Black Lives Matter movement that happened in America a couple of years back. I get it. I really do. And I understand as to why something had to change. But choosing to become the victim of the thing that you don't want to be a victim of is you choosing to still participate in the inequality without viewing everyone else as equality, right? You're choosing to be the person that's like, for example, I'm going to use me in this scenario because I feel like otherwise people of a darker or whiter skin tone can get triggered. So I'm really not trying to trigger anyone here. I'm saying this with divine love, unconditional love for everyone. In South Africa right now, if you are white and you go for a job interview, someone with a darker skin tone, if they went, they're more likely going to get the job more than what you are, right? So I understand inequality, but that person going to their friends or whoever and bad mouthing the company or saying, oh, this is unfair, I never all this sort of stuff. You are still participating in the inequality. You are choosing to be the victim, and you are still the driving force of the thing moving inequality. Whereas if you literally woke up and said, I don't want to participate that anymore. And I know this is hard to do because a lot of people aren't on this level as of yet. But if you yourself just chose to say, they probably got the job because they're better than me, not because of the skin tone, where most likely that is the case, I understand. But if you change the way how you perceive it in your mind, there is hope for someone else to do the same as well. And that's all we need to do. If you can change the way how you choose to perceive the world and the way how you choose to perceive scenarios, to stop making yourself a victim and using that as a power movement of, I probably didn't get that job because there's a better job out there for me, and let that be it. Don't even just go into the victim mindset of, oh, I didn't get the job because that person is black or that person is white. Like, no, we're better than this. Let's rise above what we are experiencing in this world and stop choosing to be a victim. I understand it's hard, especially when you're coming from generational trauma, generations of being in distraught from this movement. I understand and I get it. I really do. When I was in South Africa, it was the whites above the blacks, right? That's how it was. Where now the blacks are completely taking over, which I'm not saying anything negative or racist about, but I'm literally just using it as what South African terminology would use it as. People with darker skin tones now over there, they look down onto people with whiter skin tones, okay? That is literally the complete opposite to what it used to be. Always just been whiter skin tones at the top, darker skin tones at the bottom. And then it always swaps. Darker skin tones, whiter skin tones. And that's just how the world is going to be. But for us to stop the fluctuation and come to a same level, the people who are at the bottom need to stop viewing themselves as the victim, and the people at the top need to stop viewing themselves as superior. So we need to all balance it out and come to an understanding of, even though I have suffered traumatic experience, whatever your ethnicity is, if we all choose to say, I understand and know bad things have happened to my background of people, but I choose to not participate in the victimhood and continue as the victimhood mindset, even though you have wronged me, even though your past family history has wronged me, I am still choosing to see you as a human being. Because it wasn't actually you, or even let's just say hypothetically, it is a person that insults you. I get it. It is so humbling because you just want to do something to make the person feel the way how they make you feel. I get it. But how much better would you feel? And you still chose to look at them as a person, the way of truth. We've already spoken about the way of truth, seeing the truth in the scenario. If someone criticizes you or does something that hurts your feelings, whether it's regarding race or whatever, and you still chose to see the truth, that person probably received the same thing as what they're giving to you, right? You're seeing the truth. So there comes, I'm already skipping a few chapters ahead, unconditional love, unconditional support, unconditional understanding, right? You see the truth in the situation and you just be the better person and see the person as equal regardless. How much stronger and how much more powerful does that make you feel compared to feeling, oh, that person hates me because I'm white or black? Choosing to be the victim, right? Choosing to be the victim does not make you feel stronger. It doesn't. It makes you feel weaker. That is literally what the word victim is. Again, you're choosing to do that. Everything has a perspective and everything has a choice. But we need to be part of the movement that gets us to a much more higher place. I interact with so many people that are still in this racist mindset of like just little commentary of look at them. Like, not trying to throw people in my life under the bus, but I spoke to someone. I was sitting in a group setting a couple of weeks back, and the person I was speaking to at the moment, while they were talking, got distracted by a group of people walking into the place that we were in. And instantly their reaction was, oh, look at the pack. And I turned around and I thought, this is weird. What pack? What do you mean? and they were from like a Middle Eastern background. And I turn around and I'm like, I don't get it. And then the person was like, I'm not going to say the word because like I can understand that will literally trigger so many people. And I just look at them and I was like, that person did nothing wrong to you, first of all, right? They probably don't even know you exist, yet you felt like you had to make a comment. I'm sorry, but what? Come on, what are you doing? We are better than this. And it literally doesn't even have to go towards race. It can be anything. I just want to say this disclaimer. I am definitely not a female that is part of the feminist movement, okay? But I'm just using this as an example. A group of guys sitting at a bar and then a woman walk in, absolutely gorgeous as, feeling herself confident. Obviously, she's going to get the looks as what she deserves. But men making sexual comments towards that woman, or doesn't have to be sexual, it can even just be degrading, and all of the men are like, oh, yeah. No, can literally even just be girls, right? Admiring a guy for his looks, yeah, great. But making comments like, oh, I bet you he cheats on his girlfriend, or like just fucking like little things like that. It is so easily done. And that's where this is coming from, right? The harm that we cause subconsciously, unconsciously. A little comment like that is harmful. A little comment like that is not equality, because you see the other person less of, or you see yourself as less of. And I've said this before, I don't care where you think we came from, apes, Big Bang, God, whatever, source, the universe, fucking, I don't know, some mold on some cheese that we're a little human organism living on. I don't care where you think we originate from, but if we look at ourselves, we're all divine cosmic beings of the same particle that's mutated, that's evolved and grown into separate entities over 100,000 millions, whatever years it has been. We are all one. We are all the way of oneness. I feel the way of trust so deeply within myself. And I've mentioned a little earlier about the way of trust. 2024 really brought me towards the way of trust. So going a little bit way back, mid-year, I went through something. And if people knew what I went through, they would be like, oh, is that it? It's not a massive thing, and it's really not that catastrophic. But for me, in that moment, it literally shook my whole world upside down. And when something changes so quickly, it feels like it's literally the end of the world, because the world that you know is no longer the world that you knew. But the way of trust means you know everything works out in your favor. And I'm not talking about some affirmation bullshit. Like, yeah, those things are great. But wholeheartedly, if you think about it, everything generally worked its way out. And if you can't see that way yet, it just means it hasn't come to you yet. You not getting that promotion, for example, was that really a disservice to you? Or was that just you showing your worth and you going to a different company and getting the money, getting the respect, and doing the thing that you actually love? Is that really a disservice to you? No, it worked itself out, right? It always works out. And when you have the trust that it all works out, regardless, it puts the power in your experience so much more. You understand that what you're experiencing needs to be experienced for you to evolve and grow into the person that is capable of handling the next experience. We so often criticize and judge people on social media or family members, or when someone does something wrong and you instantly just jump on the negative side. Oh, he didn't respond to my text messages. I bet you he's cheating on me. Oh, he's on a boys' night out. He hasn't messaged me back in 2 hours. He's left me on red. I bet you he's fucking a girl. Or I bet you he's doing something that is disservice to me. How easily is it to do that? How hard is it to not even care that that has happened, to choose to see if there are things that contribute towards that? Do you really think he's cheating? Or are you just putting that in your head because you feel shitty that he's on a boys' night out having fun without you? Is there a little bit of insecurity there? I mean, look, he could well and truly have cheated before, but that's another thing. That's you choosing to participate in a man that's not faithful to you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the emotion within yourself. The way of trust means that you don't trust that everyone is trustworthy, that are going to do things in good faith, that are a good person. They're always going to try and do, better and all of that. That's not trust. The way of trust is trusting yourself. It's got nothing to do with everyone else. It's trusting yourself that if an emotion or a situation occurs that is unfavorable, like a heartbreak or loss, that you are going to be able to move through it. It means that you are trusting yourself to make the right decisions if those things were to happen. The way of trust doesn't mean that you have blind faith in everyone, that everyone is a good person and they're not going to do something to harm you. No, that is just you choosing to be blinded. The way of trust is you trust yourself to move through the thing that is unfavorable to experience. You trust yourself to not go back to the ex after they've cheated on you. To trust yourself to learn from your experiences and to never put yourself in those experiences again. And if the universe blindsides you and you do end up in those experiences, you've already gone through that experience, right? So you know now what to do and what not to do. Self-trust is so powerful. If I allow someone into my life, yeah, they can cheat on me. Yeah, they can hurt me. Yeah, they can well and truly be a narcissistic pig. Again, you can trust yourself to walk away. You don't need that pig. You don't need that needy girlfriend that doesn't let you go out with the boys. Trust is everywhere. We just literally need to see it. We just need to choose to have trust. Another aspect of trust is to be 100% vulnerable. And everyone struggles with this, I know. And this is why the way of trust is so powerful and so important. Trusting yourself to be 100% authentically vulnerable with the person that you choose to be with. You show up 100% your true self, to also not allow old patterns of, say, hypothetically, you were in a very narcissistic, abusive relationship. You trust yourself that you don't project those insecurities onto your relationships. Doesn't have to be romantic, can be friendship, family. There's so many different ways of how you can view the way of trust. So if we take the way of harmlessness and gentleness, equality, and the way of trust, and we combine them all together, we can see the way how we choose to harm another person or harm ourselves. We see where we're not being equal to that person or to that thing. And we also see where we can trust more, how we can trust ourselves to be better in every scenario. And even if that scenario is very hurtful, we trust ourselves that we know how to handle it. And even if we don't know how to handle it, next time if that was to happen, you will, because you've experienced it. What I want you to take away from this episode is, please, let's just try and be better. Let's just try and choose to be the better person. Choose the thing that's going to make you powerful, but you becoming powerful doesn't make someone else powerless. And just trust that everything works out in your favor. Even if you don't see it, it just means that you haven't got to that point yet. Please, homework today. I want you to write down, get your journal out. If you don't have one, go to Kmart, Big W, even Woolies. I don't care. Just buy some pen and some paper and write it down. We don't do this anymore. We're all just typing on our computer or on our phones with our little thumbs. No, I want you to get actual physical paper. So I want you to take all of those 3 ways that I've discussed in this episode today, harmlessness, equality, trust, how am I participating in this thing? Harmlessness. How am I harming people? How am I harming myself? And then below that, what can I do to better this situation? What can I do to not do that anymore? What can I do to change the way how I view the world? So I want you to ask those 2 questions. How am I participating in it? And what can I do to change it? For those 3 ways. Do this. And then at the end of all of those 6 questions that you've answered, 2 for each, ask yourself, what have I learned about myself? Becoming interactive with your brain and putting it to paper means that it's no longer in your head. It's literally right in front of you. It's a real thing. And then when you ask that last question, what have I learned about myself? And you write down, you actually internalize it. That's how you start to rewire your brain. And next time, when someone that you interact with makes a sexist or racist joke or whatever it is, you are going to be more aware of that and how many other people do it. That is how we become self-aware. And that's a wrap. There is so many things that I want to work on, and doing this podcast is definitely going to help me because I not only just think it, but I also tell you guys and talk about it, which also helps keeping me accountable to the thing I say I want to do. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I will see you in the next one.